Yeah, because there was a lot of salacious details that came out from Stormy Daniels. And then yesterday, that we heard from the Trump Organization controller about how they reimburse and log, whether it's legal payments, legal expenses, how they actually characterize and were characterizing payments to Michael Cohen. So, how was that important to demonstrate whether or not there was any direction from President Trump, or at the very minimum, there was some argument that this was potential tax fraud? How important is this? Was this laying the foundation from the financial aspect and from people who work for the Trump Organization itself?
The documents, in many ways, are the foundational key to the case. Now, whether that elevates the crimes that are being alleged from a misdemeanor to a felony, that's sort of the battleground here. So step one, are these entries that were in the bookkeeping about the payments that were made, were they mischaracterized? The prosecution's point of view is that these essentially were hush money payments that were being booked as retainer payments. So that was misleading. So that's misleading books and records, right? That's inaccurate books and records. Now, in order to rise that to the level of potentially a felony, it had to be in furtherance of an additional crime, which the prosecution has said is to unduly influence and violate election laws for the 2016 election. So looking at it from a base level, you have to look at the book entries, you have to look at what they said, and then in closing arguments, the prosecution will say, clearly, we need to know what these payments actually were, but what they've been booked as is something completely different. And then the defense will say they were accurate, they had the accurate numbers, and the book entry for them reflected what happened. It was a payment to an attorney. It was a retainer payment. That's exactly what it was. And then the defense, in addition, will argue that it wasn't in furtherance of any additional crime. But to answer your question directly, the documents are the foundation of a misdemeanor offense and potentially the foundation of a felony defense, where a felony charge, where we get all this other color in and this other information in is the prosecution trying to take the next step. And that next step is not only was this inaccurate, that this was in furtherance of trying to influence the 2016 election.